brother was also the prime minister of Thailand in the 90s, and same shit happened with them. That's actually what the protest is about, in a way. I'll first give you like a brief background or like a look at it from like the global perspective. So during the Cold War, Thailand was a big ally of the U.S. to counter Soviet Russia and also Chinese influence. So the U.S. and by proxy us, we had a great relationship with them and their military. Anyways, around the Obama years, Obama and his administration started recalculating their policy towards Thailand. I'll come to like the chick and all of that shit later because it ties in. But so Obama said that Thailand is getting too chummy with China, and I don't like it. And as a result, we're going to be not as supportive of the Thai military anymore. One of the things that happened in that process, or like just before that, was that Thailand elected a democratic government. So Thailand, look at, basically, there are two power factions. One is the democratically elected faction, which are usually, which is basically big business. That's where they get their power from. So big business.
So that party called the Democratic Party.
Well, dude, they have. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a million parties, and they all have weird names that I can't remember. And there's a reason why there are a million parties in the first place. So there's one power base, which is the big business and the democratically elected leader. The girl that you're talking about, the woman, can't remember her name. She represents that faction. So they like they prefer.
Are they from that family that owns like 6 soccer teams in the
Yes.
Premiership?
Her brother owned Manchester City in mid-2000s.
That's a lot of...
Who was also the
These
prime
ones.
minister.
Green. That's a lot of green.
Which is why I'm saying they represent big business. So anyway, so what's
Damn,
that?
that is big, big.
That is big
Yes,
business.
it is.
So there's a power struggle between the big business who depend on elections to come into power, and then the other power faction is the monarchy and the military, who are kind of combined together. So the protest in 2014.
Interesting power dynamic.
Yeah,
Pretty old school.
it is old school, and it's so in 2014 they kicked out that hot prime minister lady.
Why? Why?
Why?
Why'd they do that?
They did that because
It's not just based on
apparently
looks, dude. Policy, you know, that little thing.
her brother was creating.
Like, he was here.
Her brother and her were creating too much trouble for the military. What they were doing was,
Was the brother handsome?
I do not know. I mean, I guess as
Damn, I
handsome.
love these mints.
So basically, her brother and when she was in power, they were both trying to create more room for these democratic elected forces to create to call most of the shots, and basically moving it away from the military and the royal family slightly. So the way they tried to do that was restructuring the bureaucracy. The military has a heavy influence on the bureaucracy, and she and her brother, basically the democratic
Is
force,
the
went in.
king kind of like Mufasa in The Lion King?
The king is fucked. Okay, so this is the
So
more
he's
interesting
bad
bit.
dude.
Dude, okay, so there's a video of him where he got his wife naked, and he put a collar around her, and he dragged her all over the party in front of everyone as like a dom thing.
Sounds like a standard night in Surrey Hills.
Yeah, he's like Uday Hussein. He's kind of fucked. He's known for being a womanizer and also like shit like that. You know, he got into like a lot of negative attention. Talk about FriendlyJordies gets negative attention. This guy had his wife naked.
This guy's slightly worse.
Made her eat out of a dog bowl. Also, he made his. Okay, this is again true.
I know, the dog thing?
You think I'm kidding? You
The
think I'm
dog thing,
kidding?
yeah.
He made his dog, this king.
It's a poodle.
The
Poodle.
air marshal of the Air Force.
So he's really Caligula stuff.
Yeah, he's very.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's kind of psycho, right? And anyway, so he backs him, and the military have taken over the government, and they're basically what the military and the monarchy are trying to do is basically they realize that they can't govern Thailand directly like the way they used to, or they did for like a few years before they had to like prop up local Democrats. So they realize that they won't be able to do it directly. So they're trying to sort of make a political, like a straight up political faction of the military and the monarchy and entrench it in the Democrats. So the way they do it is basically, if you think American gerrymandering is bad, these guys have taken gerrymandering to the next level. So what they do is it's a very, very complicated process, but basically they've made a mathematical equation. So whatever the election results are, let's say 2000 was won by you, 2200 was won by them. The military can decide, okay, but here's the thing. Election results will be calculated if we divide it by 2 and multiply it by 3, and they come up with this massive mathematical calculation which is designed specifically to make sure that the democratic forces never get into power. So
Fair.
they'll make rules
Harsh but fair.
arbitrarily. They'll add a certain amount of zeros or something to the formula, and they'll make sure that that
So
the democratic
business guys
forces.
are the good guys.
Well, the business, but now this is the alternate view that I'm explaining to you. So during the Soviet the Cold War, U.S. and Australia, we were very supportive of the Thai military. We didn't care about democratic forces one bit at that point. Didn't matter who it was. As soon as the power imbalance started to strike with China going up, what you could see was that the Thai military started giving a little bit more importance to China as well. And then that's when Obama administration was like, okay, we need to recalibrate our entire relationship with Thailand. And that's when we started supporting pro-democratic forces. And we were like, okay, these protests are actually a good idea. When Trump got in, Trump's Department of Foreign Affairs Department were basically saying, okay, Obama's policy was kind of shit because he assumed, and they weren't wrong, he assumed that Thailand was going to jump ship and go to China, whereas that's not going to happen. What they're doing is they're trying to play both of them, both parties equally, and they've been doing that. So I was reading this ANU study where the military regime in Thailand puts aggression or like threat from the U.S. at 9 out of 10 and puts China at 8 out of 10. So U.S. is slightly higher in their threat perceptions, but they also consider China to be a great threat. So basically, Trump administration or policy walkthrough in Trump administration were like, okay, Obama's strategy of alienating them was not a good idea. They're not complete. It's not a lost cause. So what you need to do is basically you need to be very conscious and not upset them too much, but at the same time, don't support them like the way we used to during Cold War. So, with the protests, it is our policy and the U.S. policy not to ignore them like we would if, for example, it was in Indonesia or something, but to like give them enough media attention, but not to like create too much of a fuss about them because you don't want to alienate the Thai military either. So we're somewhere in the limbo right now. The situation is that there's tens of thousands of people that come out and protest against the current prime minister, who's basically used to be an ex-military guy and still serves in some official capacity. The king spends most of his time in some hotel in Bavaria, Germany. So these protesters are outside the German embassy trying to get Germany to basically keep a tab on him. The monarch, there's some crazy amounts of laws that basically will put you in jail for 3 to 15 years if you criticize the monarchy even a slight bit. The military has made this new constitutional court where basically anything that they think is not good, they can make it constitutionally invalid, and basically, which includes, so the constitutional court was the one who kicked out the hot Thai prime minister, because the military just wasn't having it. So then they officially took over. Usually they would have an election in a year, but now they're saying fuck elections. So the situation is now there's protesters outside. The prime minister is in no mood to agree to the protesters for a few reasons. One is that any kind of weakness would be horrible, and they're here to stay. They're not going to go back like normal. But what they're doing is they're about to like propose some additional constitutional amendments to the constitution.
Because the protests are so bad.
Because the protests have gotten to a level where they need to do something about it. But I was again looking at.
Amazing that things happen in Thailand.
Well, they're probably not going to happen. They're just going to be rubber stamp things that the military have always agreed to do. And basically, they have veto for everything, including who becomes a prime minister. Interestingly, in Thailand, one of the things that military introduced was that the prime minister does not have to be elected. The entire Senate does not have to be elected.
What do you mean doesn't happen?
It means that it's a non-elected body, and the prime minister
So it
can
is
be an
just
elected.
a non-elected body.
Yes, the entire Senate. The prime minister can be a non-elected representative, but he needs to share the confidence of the cabinet. So basically, you can have, if you
Well,
have,
that's what happens here.
yes, but like our senators are also elected.
It's pretty old school, but not too long ago we had senators that were just appointed.
Yes. Well, that was the point of senators in the first place. Like even the House of Lords was designed for the same, so that the unruly crowd don't go too crazy.
They might as well do it. What's the difference? Like, the difference between an elected Senate, someone that's elected in the Senate and someone that's installed, it's just like the difference is sort of like, I've been to a few more art shows.
Someone
Think on it.
No, I have thought on it, and he's right.
Boom.
Man speaking sense.
Wait, someone who hasn't
Let
been
the
elected.
man talk. We're starting our own protest here against Thailand.
You're Thailand.
Yeah, your unruly navigation of their system, your unfair portrayal of it must be stopped.
I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't know. I think it's probably Jordan's effect on me more than anything. Just being more utilitarian and just being like, just, you know,
But Jordan
authoritarian.
reckons you want to abolish the Senate, right?
Well, I'm trying to weigh up who I would prefer running a society as business or the military. And actually, now that I think about it, of course I want the military and the king running it. I think
You would
that'd be a
rather.
lot better than having business running the
But
What
you
do you
can't,
think?
you
What do you
can't
think?
decide on it just yet because the powers that be are confused as well. So you must be confused too on your position on this issue.
But what is the makeup like in the lower house? Is it always close?
Okay, so the makeup is bizarre because, okay, again, I don't understand the system because it's designed to be confusing. But unlike Australia, where you've got the Labour Party and the Liberal Party that are mostly contesting over all of these seats, in Thailand they've got caps. So in certain areas you can't even contest for it, and there's a limit on the amount of It's super complicated, and I'm not even going to pretend to understand it. But what the effect
So
of
they
that
want a
is...
permanent minority government.
Yes, so what the effect of that is the military has ensured that there's too many parties in the playing field and no singular party can make a majority. So, and the other thing that they did was that the Democratic forces, they couldn't contest for 350 seats, which is their number of seats. They could only do it for 250 because of these laws. But then there was this another party, which was the anti-military party, which contested on the other seats. And when the elections were completed, the Democratic Party and this anti-military party could form government. But then that court that I told you about, this constitutional court that the military basically said that the anti-military party is unconstitutional and they're kicked out. So that left a vacuum, and then the military formed the party. Basically, a military formed government. Basically, they just don't want the Democrats to be in any kind of
I
government.
didn't know Thailand was a junta.
Well, that's the name.
What?
Yeah.
What they call the
Junta.
junta party.
Yeah. Well, that's
They
one of the
called the
names. Yeah,
junta
one of the
party.
names is the junta party. And because there's a
What
million
the
parties.
hell?
What's wrong with that?
You know what a military junta is? It's a word for like a military coup. So junta just means military coup. So
Well,
there's
at
a
least they're
party
honest.
I mean, it's so true. At least they are. There's nothing honest about the Liberal parties.
Yeah,
Dave.
exactly.
You got to give them that.
Yeah, exactly.
But my
The
prediction
junta party. I mean, how can you not vote for it?
that was part of
Stern
the name.
fished.
But my guess is
The
that
feasting cup.
soon this protest is going to become a bigger issue as soon as our sort of overlords calculate and say, actually, we should probably be supporting Democrats. The military is getting too chummy with China, which they slowly are. Then you'll hear more about it on the ABC, and then more people are going to want us to talk about it and say
This
how bad the military is.
So do you think that the CIA is setting up a protest? What do you think they're organic?
They're supporting it. They support it everywhere. Anywhere that they... Because right now, they don't want to be too overtly interfering because they don't want to alienate the Thai military. For example, like the way they are doing in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, our opinion is absolutely wrong. China is being horrible. These people are Democrats. They deserve a voice, and anyone that's suppressing Hong Kong protests is an anti-Democrat. In Thailand, we haven't reached that point. Right now, the protesters are kind of deviant because we want the military to still be with us. So right now, they've only gotten Germany to voice an overt sort of I wouldn't say condemnation, but just saying that we're keeping a tab on what the king is doing.
What would the pro-business party do if it was in power?
Well, they were in power, and they did actually
Were they?
some really, really good shit.
Wait,
In the 90s, the hot prime minister's brother, was in power.
Oh, I thought they were the military party.
No, she's the Democrat. So
So she was actually kicked out
by the
because of
military.
junta.
Hey, Ali,
Okay.
would you say literally the young people fighting against generations of military and monarchy oppression? That's accurate, right?
Oh
statement?
yes,
Because
yes.
there's someone
That's
called
what they believe, and that's what they're overtly fighting.
because there's someone called GMAR 3040, which I think is the king of Thailand. Really persistently messaging, just being like, "I live there. I know what's up." And
right,
he's saying there
well,
are
are you
no.
a patron?
All right, calm down.
Are you a patron? If you
No,
were a
I won't
patron,
calm
you
down.
could
I
call
won't.
in.
I'm going to calm down. I'm going to keep
No,
reading
no,
what
no,
you said.
no. We need you to be the last angry man in this stuff. But this last, so that's the whole point. You're the last angry man.
Yeah.
Not this man.
Oh, right, I see. There are no factions this time. I think he's just getting angry at being like, specifically, there's a tiny, tiny difference in what I'm saying. So that's fine, you know.
But you know
It's all
what?
good.
Okay, listen to me, Gamar 3040. I read like a study about it just today, and it was updated. Just for your information, they did an opinion poll on Thai society throughout, and to get the opinion, 40% to 44% of the people think that these protests are bad and they should stop immediately.
Really?
The other population are, okay, so out of those, whatever, 55% that's left, 30% say that, look, we understand that there need to be some constitutional amendments, but you should not criticize the monarchy. There's only 25 to 30% of the people that actually support you entirely, is what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, like, what you're saying is not wrong, but the ground reality is that 40% of the people kind of support the military at this point.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't own the press.
They,
What about the business factions? Do they own sections of the press?
yes,
Oh,
and
goddamn
those
mints.
are being like in 2014. They were when the military came into power. They basically shut a lot
Jesus,
of those
Miss
pro-democrat media outlets.
Huh?
They shut down a lot of pro-democrat media outlets, and they also canceled a lot of people that were talking shit about the military. If you said shit about the royalty, then you were just going to jail.
It's okay to shit on the military, though.
Well, not anymore. Apparently, after 2014, you can go to jail for that too. Those
So,
people in jail.
what did the hot chick pass?
The hot chick
How
didn't
did they
pass
get in
anything.
power? I don't get it.
The hot
If
chick
you
was
could just appoint the Senate and the Prime Minister.
at that point they couldn't because they keep coming up with new constitutions.
Okay,
They've got a
everybody,
million
new rule.
constitutions. There was the People's Constitution, and now there's some other kind of constitution. It should just be called military constitution.
Dude.
But when she came into power, this was before the current draconian constitution that does not allow anyone that's not the military to come into power.
What?
And what did she do? Do you know?
Well, she was very timid compared to her brother. She just belonged to the wrong faction for them. Apparently, there was this whole. They always get them through corruption. They say that there's big
Yeah, yeah.
corrupt. That's how they got her older brother. That's how they got her. And basically, like, nothing's proven. Like, I was looking at some of the charges. They seem to be propped up. They just didn't want that faction to be representing the government. They wanted just one of their own guys. Because whenever Democrats are in there, they by default always try to, like, change the bureaucracy and shit, which annoys the military. Basically, taking more and more power away from you.
I got a question. In terms of like the destabilization and corruption in Asia, generally speaking, Southeast Asia and like Africa, is just America to blame, or are they just like not? Are they inherently more corrupt people? Why is it that whenever you look at like you just close your eyes and point to a map in Southeast Asia and it's just like, okay, military coup, and then you do it again and it's just like the king rides around in a tank or in the streets, and then you do another one and it's just like, long pants are illegal there. Like, what the hell? What the fuck's going on?
Well, stability and like military dictatorship are two different things. Thailand is a stable country
Okay, fine. Why are they so prone to military coups?
because
Same as Papua New Guinea, right? What's
That's
the go? Is it
that's
just like what Jordan would say, just being like, it's America, or is that just too
Look, okay,
simplified?
I think okay, it is a little simplified, but look, what ends up happening is when you're in a situation where a big power like America or Soviet Union, whoever it may be, thinks of you only from a security paradigm, right? So they look at you as how you are able to advance
Yeah.
their interests and how you can keep yourself secure so our adversary doesn't take you over.
But
right?
that's it exclusively.
So what happens is they end up giving you money for that purpose.
Yeah.
Because the superpower wouldn't give you money to educate kids because
Yeah,
it's not in
yeah.
their interest. But they
Yeah.
would give you money to set up like air defense systems so that China wouldn't come in.
So
So,
the
what ends
military
up
get-
happening is the military just, in most of these countries, starts accumulating disproportionate power as compared to the civilian institutions, because the civilian institutions are
Aren't funded.
not getting funded nearly at the same level.
So it is just international.
There's partly that, but a country like Thailand should be able to accumulate enough funds on their own to put into civilian institutions. To be fair, the 90s guy tried doing that. As in, like, one of the things that he did was there was this insane underground lotto system where billions of dollars were being funneled, but it was illegal, so it wasn't taxed. One thing that he did was this guy came in and he legalized it, he taxed it, and he generated about $3 billion in revenue, and he would distribute that money for like microfinancing in rural communities and shit like that. It sounds like a great idea, but the illegal lotto system was benefiting the military and the old systems of power, not through taxation, but through direct means, if like they were getting cuts from it and shit. So as soon as they came into power again, they outlawed.
So it's a
the
mix
system.
of funding and corruption.
It's a mix of funding and corruption. The corruption is only exposed from the civilian side, but the military is also corrupt. Having said that, a lot of the times the supported protesters are being supported for other nefarious reasons, which is why I think like sooner or later these Thailand protests are going to become a bigger issue once the U.S. decides that the military is moving too towards China.
So it's a shit fight. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's a
Complete shit fight.
Yeah, so basically, that's in a nutshell what's happening.
At
Most
least the food's
likely,
good.
See, the other thing is this is something that everybody notes about the difference between Vietnam and Thailand when you go there. I went to Thailand when I was 14, and then I went to Thailand when I was like, I don't know, like in my mid-20s or something. Didn't change at all. Everybody that says that they went to Vietnam in that same time spent, you go to Vietnam, it's a completely different country.
well, Thailand did.
Yeah.
Thailand is, well, for one, it's the
Viet-
richest Southeast Asian country.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wait a sec.
Thailand is a big economy.
Where's is Singapore?
No, but that's the whole point. Somewhere like Thailand should be rich enough, it has enough resources to advance.
I thought Singapore was
Yes,
the richest.
it does. Singapore is just too tiny.
Right. I thought
To matter.
Singapore was the biggest, but no.
Per
what?
capita, you're
Economy.
probably right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Per cap, no, not in general terms. Per capita, you're right.
Right,
It
right,
would be
right.
much richer.
But,
But
the difference
that's
is
because
that
there's five
Vietnam
of
just
them.
went from 30 years of total.
Vietnam is killing it. Vietnam is like Zetland on steroids. When I was getting a little lift by a guy, the guy at the hotel we were staying at was like, took me to get pho at some cool place. He was like, jump on the back of my moped. And I was like, I don't see why not. And he just took me around the city. Just Blade Runner, just huge, mega, like apartment structures. And I was just like, how do they even build that? And they were just like, the workers sleep there. So like,
Yeah.
they're just killing it.
But every time I go to Thailand, it's just a bunch of homeless mums with babies.
Well, yeah.
That's all I can remember
Are
from
you
that
thinking the
place.
Philippines?
That and heaps of those dogs where you squint and think, are you a Tasmanian tiger? Did they just,
Well-
are they like a pest here?
That's Vietnam as well. I did see a lot of small children defecating in the streets. That was nice.
Yeah, but you'd see that in
Yeah,
Thailand.
I mean, come on, just
and,
go to Banks.
and that is like required in India and Pakistan. As soon as you walk out,
Required.
yeah,
that's a law.
The military agent's like, all right, how come no one's shitting over here? Come on.
So
Go a white man here.
So like when
I cannot believe this. A tourist came out and there is not a child shitting in the gut.
like when
This
you
is
arrived
unacceptable.
when you arrived to Fiji, there's people playing ukuleles and shit.
Yes.
You arrived to Pakistan, it's like a lula. Wait,
No, don't music. Don't.
there's someone shitting in front of you.
That is the music, dude.
Well, someone.
Oh, you're gonna love this, Ali. Home. My Vietnamese girlfriend's dad, obviously because they're immigrants to Australia, they hate the Vietnamese government. And as you can imagine, all he listens to is just non-stop Vietnamese propaganda networks where all I've ever heard, I swear to God, this is the first time I ever went to their house, I just heard this. It's been like, "Don't die, Junior Gila, don't
What is that even? What,
Like,
what?
it's just it's pretty much just Sky News. That
Yeah.
is the Vietnamese community's radio.
I'm
I
starting
listen,
this
I
country.
listen
Yeah.
to like SBS Vietnamese sometimes too, and it is always the same. Like, it's like, hey, I know that one.
I'm starting to realize that like that is a theory of people from like immigrants that come into Australia. They seem to all be plucked from failed communist like dictatorships or whatever you want to call
It's a
them.
conspiracy. I'm telling you.
Well,
Well, it makes a lot of sense as well, though. Obviously, if you're fleeing Vietnam, you're not.
It's
you're
anecdotal.
fleeing Vietnam because
Their
the-
experience isn't legitimate. Their experience is legitimate. It's just like you have to look at the broad picture here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as bakers, whose parents do not look at the broader picture. They look at the broader picture of whether you want sesame on your bun, but they're not really into the geopolitics stuff. So he's just always reading that, and he started wearing a "Keep America Great" hat.
That's pretty boss.
Old Vietnamese man in the middle of Cronulla, and
Well, he's in the right suburb.
So he'll
yeah,
fit right in.
well, I mean. 90% of the customers are just like, yeah, keep on tracking.
Dude, that's his immunity cap. That's how he survived.
I know. It's better than just having a passport, really. And I mean, but yes, look, the thing is, his wife has just been getting really pissed off, being like, take that off. And obviously, what's the reason that she has with it? Not because of its political leanings, but because of Vietnamese family. Bad for business. So they want it off. Yeah. And like, apparently everybody's just, there's most people, because it's the Shire. I mean, it's pretty much, it's right next to Scott Morrison's office. He probably comes in every day being like, g'day, Win, just the usual thing.
Yeah.
But
You do curry?
no, you can make one, right?
Don't worry, I can make one. Roll up my sleeves.
Yeah. So someone asked him, so you like Trump? And he goes, yes, I like Trump very much. And I said, why do you like Trump? And he goes, because he teaches China who boss. I hate China. That's why he likes the Trump hat. I didn't realize that's the view that Asia has and why they're supporting him. Because like, you go to any Vietnamese community
'Cause he
in
was South
Australia, and there is
Vietnamese,
just that.
right?
There is that poster, but they're not doing it as a joke.
What, the Trump one?
Yeah, they're just being like very powerful youths.
That's because he was South Vietnamese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like going to Tennessee and asking, do you like Trump or
Yankees.
Obama?
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna say.
Okay,
he's gonna
so
say-
the South of Vietnam is just the South.
Well, yeah, that was the Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because
Because
I'm
it's,
telling you, yeah, see, that's the
because
whole thing. The North ones, the communists,
I,
they are just Bernie Sanders.
dude,
territory.
I told you this. And this
North Vietnamese. We love Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, what is the
Single payer
what's the
healthcare
what's
for
the
everyone.
North Vietnamese capital called?
Hanoi.
Again? Yeah, Hanoi.
That's the
okay, so that's
communist one.
Boston.
yes, yes. No, that's really New York.
Okay, that's
And it kind of has that vibe where it's like, yeah, French buildings and a bit of greenery. Yeah, it's in a rainforest. You know, it's kind of it's like Central Park.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say the same thing happened to. We've had Vietnamese cleaners. Makes us sound very rich. We are not rich. That's the one with the
Dude,
rich.
if you have a Vietnamese
What?
cleaner,
No.
you're not rich.
Yeah, exactly. But like
They
she,
do it. They probably. It's probably the same price as a roll. They probably just think
Pretty
everything's
much.
like $5.
and it's barely cleaning. It's like they dust and give us spring
One
rolls. You
bathroom,
know.
5. 2
Do they?
bathrooms.
Yeah, they give us spring rolls. That's the main. That's the main
Yeah, that's what
transaction.
actually.
Like cleaners come and give you spring rolls.
Yeah. She's been with us for like 15 years. But anyway, I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I hadn't seen it for ages, and exactly the same thing. I was like, I went to Vietnam, it was lovely, and I said, my favorite city was Hanoi, which it was in terms of, I didn't know the politics, just in terms of a city. It's a mad city. It's not as hot. It's not as congested. It's like prettier than like Saigon for sure. And she was just like, she was just like, very bad. And I was like, where are you from? She's like, Ho Chi Minh. And I was like, oh yeah. And then she was just like, in Hanoi, very angry people. I'm like, what? They're like, communist, bad people, very angry people. And I was just like, so can you get it? You know?
Well, yeah. Look, there's a
common thread.
There's a common thread. That's exactly what Tu's parents always say. Every time I've ever heard them argue, that has a lot of "mau, mau, mau" in it. Which, does anyone know what that is? Put it in
Who
the
knows what
single
Mau
form.
Mau May means?
Mau, mau, mau.
Yeah, that one. See if you.
You should know it though. I think everybody that goes there is like, "Oi, what's the rudest thing you can say?"
Well, I wasn't like that. I was like the hipster trip. I was just like, come on, which is thank you. That's all I needed down.
Can we?
But she was saying the same thing. Like every time they argue, because it's very uncommon. One of them's from South, the wife, and the husband is from. That's the line that she has every time. She's like, "I know I should have married a North Vietnamese man. Very angry."
She's from the south then, yeah. Very angry. Dude, it's a thing. Everyone's like, Hanoi people are very cold and angry. I'm like, I didn't really pick up on that at all.
Is
I
this,
was there.
do you think this observation of mine is accurate?
Yeah. Sorry.
Women are more easily fall in love with a man that's from a different political persuasion. But if a guy, for men, it's much more difficult. Am I wrong? Is this like a?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, like, dude, if you're a chick and you're a Democrat, you're more likely to like be okay with marrying a Republican. But if you're a Republican man or if you're a Democrat man, you're less likely to fall in love with the opposite.
That's true, but
I don't know.
I want to bang a Republican. Republicans are
Banging
hot.
is different. That's hate fucking.
It's not even hate fucking. They're just better. Like, give me the beehive hairdo. I'm sorry.
This switch was too light for a while. It was like, why isn't it someone said head fucking? Ah, there we go. Okay, yeah, we're good.
All right, okay, we've got one topic request.
Hey, did anyone know what Mao?
No one.
Mao
No
was?
one. No
It's
one.
just, of course, it's the same thing in every language. It's like, fuck yo, Mo. That's all they yell at each other over and over when, like, you just go to the bakery and you hear it. Like, fuck yo, Mo.
Really?
Fuck my Mo. Fuck yo, Mo. And then, of
evergreen,
course,
yeah.
you know what they say? The Vietnamese are a filthy people. The rudest word, or the rudest, like, phrase in their language is, fuck your entire family tree.
Only to be trumped by Croats, I'd say. That is brutal.
What? Was there a worse thing that Croats say? What?
Entire family tree.
Yeah, how do you get more heavy than that?
Enlighten me.
A very common saying in Croatia is, go and fuck a dog.
That's one
Nah,
person.
come on, fuck
That's-
your entire
That's
family.
one animal.
Incest. A little
Entire
Tony.
family
Just
tree.
scrap that last question. Which one's more of a sin, incest or bestiality? All right, what about this? Mass incest or just one dog?
Yeah, all the way up to Adam. You've got to fuck so many people to get all the
Yeah,
way
maybe
up
you're
to
right.
him.
Hey, I know you have a question, but I have one first because there's been a lot of questions about how you're banned from Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should.
I don't
There's
know
a lot
about
of questions.
that either. What's
You should
happening with
definitely.
that?
Yeah.
That's very obvious, isn't it? I mean, look, I don't know because I don't care about Reddit. I think it's just where losers come to meet to enforce their already extremely enforced opinion.
I don't even. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware there's a FriendlyJordies Reddit, and that is obviously the exception.
No, wait.
Hey, guitar pedal threads.
There's a
Take it back.
FriendlyJordies Reddit, and you're banned from that. What is going on?
I don't know how Reddit works.
We hate Baralara and FriendlyJordies.
It's. I don't. It's very strange.
Well, you know, I don't really know what it is, but I'm pretty sure this is the summation that I can get. But I don't really know because I don't go on Reddit. Because it's just the same thing over and over. It's just a bunch of fat neckbeards that are just constantly pissed off. And you can't do anything to appease them in their extremely high stakes. And it's like, what do you do again? I work as a part-time editor for a skydiving. Also, I've never had a girlfriend. So it's just like, yeah, great, awesome.
But I have had
but-
sex.
I thought it was
No, I don't even know if they've done that. I bet you they probably even just,
Involuntary, but yeah. Sorry.
well, you think that they just
Stop
looked at the
saying-
chick from Star Trek and involuntarily cummed. I think that's the closest thing they get to masturbation. Because
Yeah.
it's too tiring moving my hands up and
That's
down.
what I meant. It wasn't a joke about being a child or anything.
Apparently, Osmods blocked you because they. I don't know who that is, but some page blocked you because they were like, oh, the Common Sense Brigade is spamming the page, which isn't Reddit entirely spamming? That's what Reddit is.
What else is it?
Reddit is randoms posting. What's the difference between
just
spamming?
appreciate this. How sad is your life if you're a moderator on Reddit? Yeah, I know that you're currently watching right now the moderators of the FriendlyJordies Facebook page.
Clicking on the other page.
I
like,
don't endorse
yeah,
this
sure.
man. I do not endorse this man's comments. Do not endorse.
All I'm saying is, Matt, the editor who does this, you do a bang up job. Having said that, get a life, mate.
Oh, for fuck's sake. We don't associate with this man, even though it is his pod and his name's on the
Yeah,
pod and his
Matt.
face is on it. We don't associate with him, all right?
Don't worry, Jordan's gonna go before you. It'll just be me, you, and Miss Love.
So
And all
basically,
he'll do is put a cross, and Jordan's gonna be standing over there, and he's not allowed to come and sit on the chair.
sorry, no Jordans. So you're not. So you're basically.
Not even that. Just outside there at the veranda, just looking at me with my face pressed. Hey, fellas, can I come on?
So you're basically not bothered.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know or associate with Reddit. I just really think that you should hear Fred Durst's words if you are, which is, quote, get a life, get another fucking life.
Yeah.
I really hate Reddit. I'm sorry. I just find it the worst medium there is. It's a real toss-up in my mind between Twitter and Reddit. But
Oh, come on.
Which one do you think is worse?
Twitter. Reddit's like got
I suppose
information.
Twitter is just the same as Reddit, but you've only got 240 characters, so it's just by design going to be dumber.
But it's worse because it also has your parents on it,
Yeah.
which Reddit does not.
Twitter's the worst. I think. Look,
Sure.
I don't know
Like,
much.
I
Your
don't understand.
mum saying to you, "Did you see me owning my friend on Twitter?" No, I missed that one.
And Mum, no one did.
I don't think we should throw Reddit entirely under the bus.
No, dude, they
Good.
banned
No,
it.
look. Maybe there's other there's other things that are good on Reddit. But
Yes,
I
there
swear
are.
every political
Amateur.
thread is always just like extremely uninformed, just this bubble of ignorance that you can't penetrate,
Right.
and a bunch of people that you just know, like, because I know people that I've met in my life that are really into Reddit. They're very, very shortly in my life because they all share one thing in common. That is severe lack of social skills.
Yeah, that's how.
There seems to be a correlation here with like anyone that's too into anything on a screen, isn't there? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you played a bit of Age of Empires. Oh, you played a lot of Age of Empires. Walk away. Like, oh, Reddit. Oh, okay. Like, MySpace. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've been on VR further than the point where you go like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm feeling pretty queasy.
Yeah. That
That
was
was like my whole life is sick. I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, that was my limit for sure. Just been like, ooh.
And also, what's the point for Jordan to even pay attention to? Like, what?
Yeah.
What can he say?
No, I think
that
it's
would
more
change-
just.
But I think that this is
Yeah.
just very obvious that there is an inherent bias on Reddit. I'm imagining the thing that pissed them off because I'm just gleaning this from what other people were saying. Something to do with the fact that I did a video outing the AUWU. Why would they be pissed off? Because obviously, this is just the Rush Limbaugh radio show, isn't it? Like, obviously, they're Greens supporters. And the Greens use the AUWU as shock troops. I'm not making this up, folks. You can't make this up. You can't.
You're not wrong. You're probably not wrong
He's
about
not
that. you
wrong,
know?
but
Yeah.
it's just so funny that like now I get why he likes Rush. He is Rush. That's great. And I got no
Feel
problems.
the rush.
I got no problems here.
Should we change it to Feel the Rush?
Yeah, we can change it every time.
But I assume that was what happened. They got pissed off that the AUWU got exposed for the green shock troops that they are, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something that we are going to have to delve into a lot on the main channel, because the things that I have been learning recently, I was in the same opinion as everybody else that the Greens are a party that is there principled for the environment. They used to be, but you will notice something, that they are regrettably kicking more and more of the environmental advocates out of the Greens. I mean, Bob Barron, for instance, getting barred from the New South Wales Greens for not being green enough. Jeremy Buckingham, who was a great advocate for the environment,
Yeah,
taken out on some phony sexual harassment charge that
He's,
just
he's
eventuated
independent
to
now,
nothing.
hey?
No, he's nothing now. He's just some guy that's angry on Facebook.
Abundant.
But then you see the people that are going into the Greens. One of them in Tasmania, for instance, he was a lobbyist for the IPA for
What's that?
years.
The
The
beer?
think tank.
Indian Pale Ale.
Yes! That's a good beer, mate.
For a refreshing drink, look no further.
I will not have you slandering IPAs. No, I actually don't like IPAs. What is the IPA?
This may shock you both, but there are other things in this world than beers.
Ah, the
Yes.
International Penis
Tequila.
Association.
I will make penises more bigger by 2022. Is that him?
Can't handle the madness of this podcast. I can't deal with it.
What is it, a logging company or some shit?
Pretty much. Well, no, they are the think tank that gets all of the logging groups' points
Right.
and then sits there and shit, you're Andy Jobs every time. It's the same argument over and over. But anyway,
Over
this
an
guy-
IPA.
Yeah. No, let's be honest, dude. Over a Carlton. No, a Cascade. Tassie, Cascade.
Carlton Newt. Because, you don't want to get too crazy. Sorry, continue.
Well, that's pretty much it. It's just that guy was a former lobbyist for the IPA. He voted Liberal his entire life. He realised, I can get a seat on the Senate easily if I just switch to Greens. Boom. Really is Keating's quote of, they're just a bunch of opportunists and trots cooing that they're the Labor Party. Pretty much just emphasising
Replace Labor with
other
Lib.
points that the Labor Party doesn't emphasise and then really focusing in on seats. So the strategy in the Queensland election, for instance, the LNP knows that they're not going to win the next election in Queensland. Well, it's looking like they're not going to now, but they are going to reduce the already paper-thin majority in Queensland. The way that they're going to do this is that the Murdoch press has been running just a free campaign for Clive Palmer, not that he needs it. And also, you'll notice that every press release that the Greens put out, the Murdoch press is just publishing. And I don't know if the Greens know this or not, and I don't know how Machiavellian it is, but they seem to just be sitting there being like, well, obviously they're giving us good press because we're telling the truth or whatever. But the main point is for them to take away a couple of seats in Brisbane. Why do they want to take away a couple of seats in Brisbane? Because if you lose seats to the Greens in Brisbane, you can't get those seats back. And I know that this sounds very telegraphy, Sky Newsy, and it is, but the thing is that already in Queensland there is a really uneasy alliance that sort of cobbles together behind the Labor Party. That's just this much. This much is holding back the insanity of the LNP. And if you lose those seats to the Greens, to win them back, you're going to have to start saying SJW cuck shit. And if you say that SJW cuck shit, you've lost all of northern Queensland.
Damn,
and vice versa, if you start saying, like, oh, they're showy boy cucks, you've lost those seats in Brisbane. So you just maintain those seats. So it's just, you just have to surrender those seats. And the thing is, where are they taking these seats from? They're taking them from the Labor Party. They're not focusing any of their resources into taking seats off of the LNP. They fluked winning one seat. I can't remember where it is, but they're just going to lose that seat.
Well, let's be real. They wouldn't be able to sneak a seat from LNP. If Labor can't get an LNP seat, there's no way fucking Greens would be able
They did fluke one randomly. I don't know how it happened in the last election, but they're not going to win that one back.
Welcome
So-
to the info war.
This is crazy.
It's scary stuff, isn't it?
Oh, wait,
It's
okay,
scary
I've got a
stuff. So the
question.
thing is, look, the Murdoch press, they will be constantly conflating the Greens to the Labor Party. You will see it over and over. All the talkback hosts, Labor and the Greens, Labor
Yeah.
and the Greens, Labor
It's a
and the
classic.
Greens. Why are they doing that? They're trying to conflate those two parties together by going, they're in a coalition. Anyway, what you should do is vote for the coalition. So they
Who are voting
who are
with
in
the
a coalition
Greens.
with another party that is also green. But you don't look too deeply into that. But that's not the case, obviously. The Labor
Why
Party
isn't
hates the
that
Greens.
the
The Greens
case?
hate the Labor Party.
Wouldn't if once the elections are over, wouldn't Labor form a coalition with the Greens in Queensland anyway?
Well, this is the whole point. The Greens think that that's going to happen. If I was the Labor Party, I would hope that they wouldn't form a coalition with the Greens, because if they do, it'll just be on a federal level but worse, because they'll get one term out of that,
Talking about
but then
the Libs?
they'll lose power
no, I see.
in Labor for in
Yeah.
Queensland for decades after
Because
that,
the
because
Greens
the
has that
majority
level
of
of
Queensland look at
Hates
it.
the
The whole
Greens.
thing is, when we got the Common Sense Brigade to point that out to all of northern Queensland, it was such an effective campaign. We've just been like, they're putting preferences to the Greens, and you just see the hatred against it, deservedly so or not. Now, I'm not even talking about the policies between these two parties. I'm just talking about the political reality and the tactics that they're running. So the Murdoch press will say that, the Greens are in shame, they're loonies, and they will be saying that to conflate them to the Labor Party, but the whole point is to damage the Labor Party. It's not to damage them both. That's the strategy there. And they
It's like-
they do not actually give substantial criticism to the Greens party which you can easily do. For instance, in this election alone in Queensland, and I have the documentary to prove this. I know this does sound like it's like really
Not at all.
conspiracy stuff, and look, it gets even more conspiracy because Clive Palmer was right.
What?
Well,
The CIA is funding the Greens.
What?
wait,
I can't remember the name of it, but it is one of those data collection agencies that the CIA uses. They used it in the Arab Spring, for instance. And that party, or like, you know, because, you know, the Greens have that thing of like, corporations don't donate to us. Why is there a bunch of CEOs donating to you? Well, they're not corporations, are they?
but you know what?
But the
dude?
thing is
I
that-
hate to break it.
What?
Every major political party in Australia would have CIA assets.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is definitely true.
Even One Nation wanted. Remember that shit?
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
expose.
And like obviously Bill
Definitely One
Shorten just
Nation.
went over to the American embassy and said, this is how pro-America I am, blah, blah, blah. I understand that you have to kiss the ring and whatever. But I am saying that the reason that the CIA are funding the Greens in this particular election is obviously because they want the Labor Party out. Now, when the CIA wants the Labor Party in, they'll be doing the same thing to the Labor Party. It's the CIA. That's what it does.
Shit, you know, there's yeah. Sorry, I will get going.
But the other thing is, they also started taking funding from a logging group. Now, I don't know why they took that, because it makes a lot of sense when they're in Tasmania. Again, like the difference is, people are going to say like, yeah, the Labor Party gets donations as well. Yeah, there's an influence policy. As Michael West points out, I don't think that donations actually do influence policy as much as people think they do. It's actually the lobbyists that are in their ears. Those are the ones that influence policy. I mean, just think about it, right? If you just got a check from someone, you'd be like, thanks, and then just get on with your life, right? But if you've just got a friend, say it was you, Ali, and you were just taking me out for lunch all the time, and then you were just like, mate, I just really need these pokies improved. I'm really up to my arse here in debt.
Yeah, you
well,
do
I
it.
mean, you bought me lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And you have
that's
to
how
listen to
psychology
soft
works.
power.
It's well, I mean, yeah, it's soft power to a point of drowning because it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
But the reason that they fund the Greens, for instance, in Tasmania, in that last election with Labor, is because, and this is the whole point, I think that the Greens originally was a very noble and sincere effort to get the environment onto a national conversation. And I obviously love that there was just Bob Brown in there saying that, like, hey, I'm here speaking for trees. That is
Honey.
my constituency. That's fucking awesome. I think that what's happened then, ever since the Australian Democrats came out, that all of the party operatives, when the Australian Democrat vote collapsed, they started moving into the Greens. It's just become like a clusterfuck of all of the opportunists in Canberra that can't really make it in the main two parties. And
Well,
it's
that was
easy
their
to get
civil
in
war.
there.
That's
That's the civil war that is happening right now in the Greens.
Where like there was a faction that said that our entire responsibility is to be advocate for the environment.
Yeah.
Whereas another faction was like, no, we need to like move into other areas and just
Social,
become another kind of
yeah,
equality.
move into like postmodern, like social justice, vague social
Yeah.
justice policy.
Well, they wouldn't say vague.
But this is the whole
They would
thing.
be
They
like-
are
yeah, specific, I suppose, not vague, maybe.
no,
Yeah.
these people are enabled in the party because they're kind of just convenient patsies for it. And so when it came to the vote in Tasmania, for instance, they forced Labor, they kind of wedged them into having a policy that is anti-pokies, which obviously is going to be suicide. So then the pokies industry just flooded the Greens campaign with money. And why did they do that? They just wanted them to have enough resources to campaign against the Labor Party that they were able to turn safe seats into marginal seats. So the Labor Party thought, fuck, they had to take money out of marginal seats and campaign in what was safe seats.
Dude, it's genius.
So it's just this perpetual thing of just like the Labor Party has to fight on three fucking fronts all the time. Like
It's
Clive
genius.
Palmer, the Liberals,
And the Greens.
all eating away at
And
their
all
vote.
funded, the Greens funded by the very people that they're advocating against.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
advocate against them, and I believe that they sincerely think that, you know, oh, well, when we get into power, we wouldn't use that, and we're not taking that much money, and that's all well and good. But the whole thing is that they're being used as a
Patsy.
pawn piece. That it's just a bigger part of a big chess game that's at play there.
Once again, come to the
Yeah.
conclusion
But-
that the Greens should be abolished.
the Labour Party has a war on three fronts, but they have FriendlyJordies.
Yep. Till
And-
they kill him.
Why would they kill him?
Just kidding, buddy. He'll be fine.
All right, do you want to thank you for joining us for tonight?
Oh, that's the end? Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Really
actually, you know what? No, you're
appreciate
right
it.
though. Friendly Jordies, you're gonna make it happen for him.
If you're a regular pod listener and you like what you see, actually, I shouldn't say that. Most likely they don't like what they see. If you kind of like what you see,
They
consider
like it.
becoming a patron. Subscribe to like Friendly Joys podcast on Patreon. That will help us.
Yes.
And yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever. But thank you.
And shout out the Common Sense Brigade too. I think that's worth shouting out too, right?
Common Sense Brigade are doing God's work. You know what? I heard about this. This is amazing.
Sorry,
This is what's incredible. I can release this piece of information. This is amazing. So, Common Sense Brigade doing all their stuff, sending forth memes and all that kind of shit. Labor Party contacts me going like, this is amazing. This is doing amazing work up in especially marginal seats in Queensland. Really changing the conversation. The LNP have had to turn off their Facebook notifications. The Bobcatters Party has been just taking their lines and just running them, just like stupid boomer memes that they've been like, yeah, he's got a good point.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bobcatters
Cat-
Party's going to sit
That's
there
what
and,
we want.
yeah,
Yeah.
keep talking. So that's mad. But again, the thing is, Bobcatters Party is doing wonders because they are taking seats off the LNP, so that's fine. Again, this is the whole thing, like, it's the same thing with the world of sport shooters and fishers because they're not taking seats off the Labor Party. They're taking seats off the Nationals.
Yeah.
And that's great. Same thing with CAP. Yeah, so anyway, that's all going down. And then, you know what they said? This is going to blow your fucking mind. Joe Biden's campaign learnt about the fucking...
Common sense.
So I've forgotten because I just don't even think about it because I'm never online. Common Sense Brigade. They learned about the Common Sense Brigade and they're just like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is what Donald Trump had in 2016, this organic meme army.
Yeah.
And they were just asking, how did you get this? And they just said, I don't know, this is out of our hands. So what I've got to say, guys, is if you are part of the Common Sense Brigade, you are the resistance. By
Keep
making
fighting the
funny
war.
memes that
It's
are
incredible.
extremely ironic and dumb boomers don't get that they're ironic.
Dude,
Countries pay a lot of money to like dodgy organizations like Cambridge Analytica to do this. This
Dude.
was all spontaneous, and these aren't bots. These are legitimate.
dude, the
people.
wars of today.
Oh.
Do you know what else as well? I like the vibe in the Common Sense Brigade because I just see it and it's just everyone is just trying to out funny each other. That's
Dude,
sick.
The wars of yesterday.
And
were-
they're funny. The memes are mad.
the wars of yesterday were fought with muskets. The wars of today are fought with memes.
Yeah, I know they are.
And they are really funny. My Wheatbix one didn't really take off that much. Maybe because it wasn't political at all and had no relationship to the page. But hey, that's fine.
A man can try.
I tried.
You tried.
I tried. It was my first time, first meme ever, and I got a good response.
Keegan Nader says
Alright.
that we should do.
Next time you should probably mention the Queensland election. But
Look, yes, in theory, but I go my own way.
so many more people qualified to be the chief campaign organizer of Friendly-Jordies. So many more.
I'm not denying that.
What do you think of this meme? What did the My Little Pony say?
Oh, I got
well, one of them just said that we should do a live pod on Queensland election night.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna like this,
Common
by the way.
Sense Brigade are good, but don't like slightly off-color Simpsons memes regarding certain New South Wales Premier vote.
Just quickly. Shout out, boring girl. She made this.
Yeah.
Have a look, and I'll put it to the camera.
Are you gonna be freaking dirt? Because
Show, go to the camera.
first camera. Where was one? Yeah.
Ali's famous love of duck finally meets his obvious sex addiction.
It says, "Are you gonna be my Peking duck? Because I'm ready to blow."
Yeah.
That is tattoo, bro.
Perfect shit. All right, we've got to end this.
Yeah.
At some point. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate your support. Become a patron, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much. We love you.
And we're back.
Talking about 90s production.
Welcome to the
It's-
Friendly Jordies podcast.
It's spooky McSpooks a lot with the news.
I wish that show existed.
Can you actually hear me through the mic? Okay.
You want to know how to increase Holsworthy life?
Hey, Jordan hasn't had a
I
recent.
mean, that is actually how Mislov got to 1,000 subs on Forest Hill.
How?
By putting on a cheap mask from Golo.
Did I?
Yeah.
That is true. By the
A
way,
cheap mask from Golo that seems to be sculpted from your face.
You're right. I just couldn't just drop there. The video. Shout out Forest Hall. Go to watch The Quiet Life online.
You got to 10,000 yet?
Pathetic. Nah, it's on 7.5.
Well,
Not pretty good.
not 10,000.
Nah.
But it's, you know what? It is a huge improvement, especially for a channel that I think before that video dropped out had 300 subs.
Something
Did it?
like
Something
that.
along the lines of that.
It
It was that level of subs where a celebrity from yesteryear tries their hand in YouTube, puts a couple of videos on, and no one's interested.
I'm very glad that I clocked over 1,000.
this is a celebrity of future.
Yeah.
Because this new video went viral. I'm like, kind of. Like like how
We're
much?
still talking about Forest Hall?
I'm talking about your new song, the video. How many
Dang.
views did it get?
7.5. It's not really viral.
Million.
7.5 million. Yeah, Will Smith asked. Will
Yeah,
Smith
you
gave me a
purged-
record deal.
it's
Doesn't even,
Will
he's not
Smith
even a
video.
musician.
Purge Taylor Swift off the charts.
Yeah.
How's that for a quiet life?
Yeah, I fucking owned.
All right, well, I think it was
Wait, one
spookiest
second. Welcome to the Friendly Jordies podcast.
Thank you.
This, you're watching or listening to the Halloween edition. And if you're only listening to us, I made a lot of effort to do the decor. So go on YouTube, type Friendly Jordies podcast, and subscribe to our channel and check out how it looks.
Do a
All
sound
good, but I've
effect.
also got do a sound effect.
You need a sound effect after those two.
Oh, the wrong one. The wrong one.
Stay there, because I've got a question the two of you got. How much did all of this cost?
Upwards of $65.
Oh shit, it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap at all.
Well,
I mean, collectively.
luckily I'm reimbursing you by forcing you to eat a disgusting grape jelly thing.
Why are we eating this anyways?
I don't know, but that is coming up later.
Yes, later.
And that's the real sizzle of today's broadcast. But the other one
Poison.
that we have, just as an appetizer, is that I haven't had a Reese's Peanut Cup since I was 8 years old. I didn't like them then. This assures me that I probably won't like them now, and I agree.
Let's
so
see.
let's give them a go.
That use in is
Now, I'll say this about them.
yep.
They're the anchovies of chocolates. It's an acquired taste, and the older you get, with age comes a liking of a confectionery aimed at children.
Yeah.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, check them out.
Yep. Salt.
I think
They don't sell them enough.
need any marketing or
Nah,
anything.
I've got a great line for them.
What?
Salt and sugar combined at last. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's just oceanic water of treats.
Do you like
This is
it?
what, if seahorses could eat chocolate, they'd want this, wouldn't they?
But it's good though, right?
I like it.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not
It's,
going to buy
it's
it.
very American.
I don't know why we're eating food now for the podcast, but we have to eat one more thing.
Oh, we're doing this now, are we?
I told you it was coming up.
Well, no. This is like this is like punishment poker vibes.
Okay, wait. How about we get to this in a second?
After.
So let's do my one and only Halloween segment for today.
Very good, Ali.
So this is a game that the two of you are gonna play with
Oh,
the audience.
this is
So the comments need your answers. So what I have here is a riddle. It's a murder mystery riddle. And
Now that's
you
feeding.
guys have to solve it along with you guys. So let's start off. The first riddle.
This does sound like an hour-long board game that we are
It's short,
doing
it's
on
short.
my side, but
We got
okay.
time.
Be sure. Okay.
We did just do that the other day for our patrons. So, I mean, look, this is what you get if you sign up. Sign up today.
Hey, see this poker? Here's a clue. See this poker table? It's not just ornamental.
And not cheap either, so please become a patron.
And that's all the clues you're getting. No, that's mean. We played poker online and everybody hated it.
Not everybody. A
Some
lot
people-
of people. A lot of people.
Like, more than necessary to stop doing it. Okay,
And then we persisted on the next week.
I disagree.
listen to this carefully because the clues lie with the scenario, and for the audience too. Listen to it carefully. Elderly woman lived alone in her house by the suburbs. She rarely left the house and knew only a few people. One Friday morning, the mailman called out for the woman but didn't receive a prompt answer as usual. Upon peeking in through the window, the mailman realized that the woman was murdered. The police investigated the house and found Tuesday's newspaper by the dead body. Also by the door outside there were 3 unopened bottles of milk, one which had gone bad. The police arrested the killer the very next day. How did they figure it out so quickly?
Can you tell us?
I
No,
can.
that's the game. That's the game.
I can,
yeah,
but
we've
that's
got
the
to find
game.
I know.
Well, yeah.
So
You
you guys discuss it while I look at the comments to see if anyone.
Well,
Well,
Actually,
apparently
yeah.
no discussion needed. Miss Love takes an hour to decide what he wants to eat. You can figure out riddles like that.
that's right. I'm a enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Okay, the answers are get pegged, Ali. I don't know if that's the accurate answer to this.
I
riddle.
suppose
shit.
it is just the answer
Okay.
to life.
Oh, some of them. Miss Love, you can't look at the comments.
I know.
Yeah, no, give me that.
Yeah, I
You
actually
can't look at because like some of them have answered it correctly.
Too late already.
For example,
so nice try.
Big Willie, you're right. Tobin OG, you're right. Okay, so the answer is. Okay,
We didn't even get a crack out of it, did we?
Well, Miss Love, you can't have a crack at it. 'cause
And now
you're
I can't
reading
even
comments.
remember the question.
Oh,
All I could remember is that, as usual, everyone's just looking at their phones while they're doing their one job in
That's
the week.
how Twitch works, dude. I know you don't know every platform perfectly. I know you know YouTube. But Twitch is a little
Yeah,
different.
MySpace is
You are
your
right, okay.
game. Stick to MySpace.
You can't get your head around it. You're just like, what do you mean live stream?
When are we supposed to put up our resumes? Is this LinkedIn or not?
Okay, have a
When
crack
are we supposed to
at
put
it.
up our... Oh, wait, actually, also, can you guys post us your resumes? And I just want to see, if it's impressive or not. I just want to see how much people lie.
It's not
Because I have the theory that it's 100%.
Who's going to do that? What? You're going to send in their resume and then we're going to discern if they're lying or telling the truth.
Well, it's better than Ali's games, I've got to say.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
But also, I think it's just interesting to look at them and just be like, okay, worked at McDonald's, then moved on to work at Mambo for a bit and beat the Dalai Lama in an arm wrestle. Well, this all checks out.
Dude, if you want to hire people, you can't just ask them for resume. You don't have to come up with an elaborate game.
I need an editor. That's what we're getting to.
Okay.
Broke through the fourth wall.
Oh, we're gonna get so many. Anyways. Okay, if you want to put it out
I don't
there,
know if we
put it-
just...
Jordan's email is Jordan.
No, just go through the Discord, for God's sakes. Look, if you know things on computers, like, okay, first of all, if you know Twitch, you're off to a good start.
Dude, how good's that as a threat? If you ever annoy me, I'm just leaking your email. That would suck for you.
Actually, you wouldn't because you don't read them that often
Yeah, that's
anyway.
True. Actually, I've seen
It
his
would
email.
suck
It's like,
for his staff,
Yeah.
including me, if it comes to the sales
Yeah,
one.
yeah. That's
My
the way
bad.
to punish Charlene indirectly.
yeah, it is actually.
Okay, so the answer, do you want to have a crack at it? Or have you forgotten completely what the
Milkman?
scenario was? Yes, that is correct.
Are you kidding?
No, that's it.
No, seriously.
That's it, Milkman.
The milkman kills.
Jesus, that's so easy.
Let me like tell you
That
why.
was just the first word that came out of my mouth. I wasn't thinking. I just said something.
And you were right. Sometimes, you stab in the dark and it hits the right spot.
I mean, come on, that is higher than getting a straight flush in poker. That's really amazing.
That close to saying milk woman, but he went for milkman. He got it right. Amazing. It is amazing.
It really just does add credence to the theory that my entire